When it comes to quality games throughout the years, Nintendo has left me little room to complain. But somewhere in an alternate universe, there's a ton of incredible games being played that the rest of us never got to enjoy. Here's 7 tragically cancelled Nintendo games. First off, Donkey Kong Racing on the Nintendo GameCube. This would have been Donkey Kong's equivalent to Diddy Kong's racing game, and it was a game that Rare had been working on for months on end. Nintendo released an exciting preview of the game at E3 in 2001 that showcased your ability to race one another on creatures like rhinos, ostriches, and swordfish. It would have also included courses where you race through the jungle, the sea, and the skies. Nintendo and Rare Studios were a powerful tandem back in the day, and they almost never produced a game that disappointed. Unfortunately, this game was cancelled before it could even hit the shelves, due to Microsoft purchasing Rare Studios in 2002. Number 2. Super Mario Spikers on the Nintendo Wii. Super Mario Spikers was intended to be an intense volleyball version of the Mario sports games. It was also intended to implement elements of wrestling into the game to add another layer of excitement. The studio developing the game was Next Level Games, who had experience developing a WWE game, and they were also the same studio that made the successful Super Mario Strikers games. Nintendo provided the budget, and development began in 2006. But several months later, Nintendo saw the game's first pitch, and they were not pleased with what they saw. According to several reports, Nintendo thought the gameplay was too violent for a Mario game. Apparently, one of the more disturbing animations featured Waluigi stomping on Mario while he was on the ground. I'm not gonna lie, that kinda sounds awesome to me, but Nintendo didn't think the product fit their image, and the game was cancelled in 2007. Number 3. Fire Emblem 64 on the Nintendo 64 DD. Fire Emblem games are usually popular titles on handheld devices, but a major title that nearly made its way to the console was Fire Emblem 64. It's possible that no one may have been able to enjoy this game outside of Japanese audiences, as the game was initially being developed on the Nintendo 64 disk drive, which was a Japan-only expansion for the Nintendo 64 console. The 64DD released in December 1999, but it was a massive flop, and by February of 2001, the console was discontinued with only a total of 9 games on it. With its 64 option no longer available, aspects of the game were reworked into Fire Emblem: The Binding Blade, which was released on the Game Boy Advance in 2002. Number 4. Raven Blade on the Nintendo GameCube. This was an action RPG game that was being developed by Retro Studios, the same studios that made all of the Metroid Prime games, and is currently working on Metroid Prime 4. The game experienced several name changes during its long development that began in 1999. The game was receiving its fair share of hype, and Retro Studios was certainly taking their time to produce a good product. But unfortunately, the development was taking a bit longer than Nintendo anticipated, and they set a deadline saying that if Raven Blade hadn't gone through major improvements by July 24, 2001, the project would be cancelled altogether. Well, 5 days before that deadline, Nintendo decided to cancel the project, and told the studio to focus exclusively on the development of Metroid Prime. Although we may have missed out on a great game in Raven Blade, it may have been a blessing in disguise if it would have affected the development of the all-time great Metroid Prime. Number 5. Tangles horror game on the Nintendo GameCube. Tingle is one of the weirder and, dare I say, creepier characters of the Legend of Zelda series, and at one point, Nintendo was considering making him the star of his very own game. Considering his unsettling man-fairy appearance, it comes as no surprise that the project was planned to be a horror game. The game was being developed by Vanpool Studios, but it never received an official name before the project was cancelled. Whenever asked about why the game was cancelled, Nintendo has never got into the specifics, but said that there was numerous reasons. Some have speculated that the cancellation may have been because of the release of Luigi's Mansion right around that same time frame, and a green main character in a haunted setting is something that Nintendo had already explored. Number 6. Super Mario RPG 2, likely on the Nintendo 64. Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars was the first turn-based battle game that featured Mario. If you're old enough to have enjoyed the Super Nintendo in its heyday, then you're probably familiar with this one, as the first Super Mario RPG game is often considered as one of the all-time great games. So in 1997, Nintendo revealed teaser footage for Super Mario RPG 2, which had many fans incredibly excited, but the project eventually became Paper Mario. Regardless, even decades later, many fans are still crossing their fingers, hoping that they will eventually release Super Mario RPG 2. Number 7. Animal Crossing 2 on the Nintendo GameCube. The first Animal Crossing game was initially released in the early 2000s, and the game was received well by critics and was recognized as a major success. Due to this, Nintendo quickly began working on the sequel for the Nintendo GameCube, and even released a screenshot to help promote the upcoming game. Well, unfortunately, Nintendo continues to be a secretive company, so it's unknown why this project was eventually cancelled. Some people think that they wanted to avoid overshadowing the 2005 release of Animal Crossing Wild World on the Nintendo DS. The Animal Crossing series has since gone on to live a long and healthy lifespan, but at the very least, it would have been interesting to see what new surprises Nintendo would have had in store for Animal Crossing 2, which would have been released on the same console as the first game. So now it's your turn. What is a game that never got released, but you wish it did? Let me know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching as always. Make sure to like and subscribe for more Nintendo content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.